In some places in Australia, nature has come to a standstill. It hardly rains anymore. 800 kilometres from the coast, Barcaldine is a small town that's been declared a drought zone for 8 consecutive years. For the past 7 years, however, in the name of leisure, they've had this water sports base, a large artificial lake designed for water skiing. 1 kilometre long, 500 metres wide, and 400 million litres of water pumped directly from the groundwater table, which is drying up every day. And to take the ecological aberration even further, Barcaldine decided to organise a motorboat competition.
Katie, come into the bank, please.
Brad Nelson came up with the idea.
The starts, I love the starts, when everyone just stands on the loud pedal and goes. That's when the hair stands up on the back of your neck and the goosebumps. Hello!
40 racing boats are competing. Powerful speedboats like David's with a 350 horsepower engine.
On a course like this, I reckon we'd probably use about 1.6 litres a lap, something around about that.
1.6 litres per lap, that's 6.5 litres of fuel consumed for each race. It's all very polluting, but Brad, the organiser, has it in his blood. His family's been organising races like this for as long as he can remember.
Yeah, 3 generations of boat races. My dad did it, I do it, my kids will do it. Didn't have much say in it. We've pretty much filled up every hotel in town with the powerboat racing. So they're happy, we're happy. We get to come out here and drive like lunatics.
Right. Ready to go, mate?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Brad's not wrong. Col Hanson, the deputy mayor, is smiling.
Oh, just give her a little bit.
Today it's 36 degrees. Like every day, the water in the artificial lake is evaporating. A pump, permanently at work to keep topping up the lake so that it doesn't run dry. But Cole doesn't see the problem.
And actually, yeah, they gave us the money to build it, so it'd be silly if they didn't give us the water to fill it.
$2.5 million spent by the government on a lake that has to be filled up all the time. This station right next door.
Yeah, this is our sort of pumping station. Here is the actual bore itself, where they drill a big hole down in the ground.
The city sits on a huge underground water table, the Great Artesian Basin, the only major water reserve on the Australian continent. It took 2 million years of rainfall to fill it, but now the reservoir is running dry. And the reason Cole isn't afraid to tap into these reserves is because he doesn't really believe in climate change.
I think it's just a cycle that the world seems to go through. So yeah, I'd take a fair bit of convincing to believe it's wholly and solely climate change, having that water supply directly under you. So yeah, you could call it a gold mine for the small towns.
Little Barcaldine is the story of the whole of Australia, a country sitting on a gold mine that is squandering its natural wealth. But at this rate, how long can nature hold out? Australia is the jewel of Oceania on the other side of the world. Surfers on heavenly beaches, the immense coral reef that feeds the world's fish, animals found nowhere else in the world, and adventure in the wilderness. The Australian paradise is still the stuff of dreams, but the picture postcard is turning into a hellscape. With over 16 tonnes of CO2 emitted per capita, compared to 7 for European countries, Australians are among the biggest polluters on the planet. And this is not about to change.
You know, if you're against fossil fuels, you may as well go live in a tent and not have a car.
10% of jobs depend on mineral extraction, including coal, responsible for half of the country's greenhouse gas emissions.
It might be beautiful, but it brings a lot of, I guess, prosperity and happiness.
Australia is one of the world's biggest consumers of water at a time when it's needed more than ever.
We do need rainwater. The sun and the heat is one of the worst things.
Indeed, everywhere nature is struggling. Unprecedented fires, 3 billion animals affected.
She's got burns to her paws, to her nose as well.
Cyclones, droughts, and floods.
J'aurais jamais pensé que ma vie dépendrait du temps.
Climate change is producing ever more extreme phenomena. Some decide to resist.
Like, we're not recovering at a rate that can keep up with the amount of natural disasters that are happening.
I know I don't want to be part of the human race that's actually ended it all.
Australia, welcome to a paradise that may be under threat of destruction. Across the country, temperatures are rising. In 2022, they rose to an all-time high of 50 degrees in some states. The heart of Australia, already a desert, has become uninhabitable. 85% of the population lives near the coast. But to understand the pioneering spirit of the country, we begin our investigation in the Australian Wild West. Carnegie, a huge farm of 500,000 hectares, a huge private holding. There are no other inhabitants within 200 miles. Brendan, a farmer, lives alone with his wife Tess, their one-year-old daughter Maeve,
Strawberries are her favourite.
and a strange pet straight out of prehistory. Emma, a 1.5-year-old emu.
It's like a dog.
For the whole family, life revolves around one word: water. There is no artificial lake here. You can barely cool off in the cattle's water supply. After the last drought, Brendan lost 3,200 cows to thirst. He went from 4,000 to 800.
Well, I think, we're a young country and come over here with not much going on, so everyone had to do something, had to work to make a living, and that's passed through. I think everyone knows it. You got to work hard to get something.
A very young country, the Australians are mainly British people who landed only 2 centuries ago on a land that was hardly exploited. Like his ancestors, Brendan is trying to tame nature. To do this, he needs 1,000 litres of petrol per month. But in Australia, there is no shortage of fuel.
So I'd say fuel is the second most. Water is definitely the most important. We need water anywhere we go. If you get stuck without water in the heat, it's not going to be good.
The first petrol station is 500 kilometres away, and every day the little family travels hundreds of kilometres on a sometimes impassable track, since they have to check the 70 water points.
Only about half here, so we're going to have to go fix the windmill.
With this old wind turbine system, the energy produced by the wind is used to pump water. But now the windmill is not pumping, and the rain will not be enough to fill the basins, despite Brendan's prayers.
I was brought up as a Catholic. We're always looking at the sky and hoping. We see a cloud like that and we get excited. If we don't have water, the cattle can't survive. If they don't survive, then we haven't got a job, so we're not here, and no one's here.
So, while waiting for their prayers to be answered, the family settled down and got to work.
It's a lot of pressure.
Like their parents before them, Brendan and Tess want to teach their daughter their profession.
She's learning already. She's learning now.
Once she starts walking and understanding things a bit more, we'll just get her straight into it.
First Australian cowboy lesson, risky repairs.
I always feel like he's going to fall off whenever he does this. It's really scary watching it.
Need a bit more wind. There it is, Maeve. There's the water. Woohoo!
Lesson 2, make Maeve feel in this heat how vital water is. Thanks to his wind turbine, Brendan can pump water from the water table despite the drought. But for how long?
Straight down there.
This water comes from down there in the ground. Well, it won't last forever, but hopefully it lasts long enough. All right, one job done, 1,000 more to go.
The goal remains the same, conserving a maximum of water, even if it means fighting, since there's competition for water.
That's my rifle and my gun. That's just in case we come across something that's not good. Might see some camels.
Camels were brought to this land by the British, but in Australia they have no predators. So they proliferate and help themselves to the livestock's water supply. Result? They are systematically killed. But for Brendan, at the moment, it's not the kangaroos which cause a problem.
Got him. Too many. They breed up quick and they eat the grass that our cattle are meant to eat.
Without water, grass has also become precious.
Kangaroo steaks for dinner.
Taming nature is what Brendan inherited from previous generations, the British settlers. For European Australia, as we know it today, began in the 18th century with the expedition of Captain James Cook. The British then decided to make this land a prison. 160,000 convicts were sent there. For almost a century, Australia was a land of convicts. The British settlers and their prisoners were the first Western builders of the country. They came with cows, rabbits and pigs to create British-style farms. In the middle of the arid steppes 2 centuries later, Brendan is still battling the elements.
We had a big storm. The wind come in and blew these solar panels over. I think we need 6 new ones. They're all fucked.
A battle that seems already lost, because climate change causes extreme weather phenomena.
It's a big willy, big tornado. Change of temperature. It's getting hotter now, so the winds are all swirling around.
The climate is out of control. When the interior of the continent suffocates, on the coast we fight against the water. Because heat also causes evaporation, the humidity in the air increases, and when they come, the rains are torrential. But on dry land that no longer absorbs water, floods occur. This year, record levels of flooding have occurred almost everywhere in the east of the country, such as in Lismore, one of the worst affected towns 800 kilometres north of Sydney, that must now adapt to climate change. In 2022, Lismore suffered 3 serious floodings. Water levels reached 15 metres, never seen before. Eight months later, the town still seems partially destroyed. 3,500 homes are still uninhabitable in Lismore Centre. Those who remain have had to change their way of life.
Alors, il y a un peu de dégâts sur les murs.
A Frenchman who has lived in the country for 25 years, Francois thought he was well prepared for climate change with his house on stilts.
Donc, je fais voir jusqu'à où l'eau est montée. Can you show where?
To there.
But he and his partner Tim didn't see the disaster coming.
Our neighbour was hanging on to the post box of the neighbour and yelling at us.
Yeah.
To get out, you've got to go, you've got to go. And we kept on saying, just one more moment, we've got to grab things. He said the water was just below his knee.
Yeah. And within 15 minutes, we just walked down and we were like, our head was underwater.
Underwater, we basically had to swim.
The result, the house was completely devastated.
Yeah. Alors ça, c'est mon ours. Il a ressuscité, donc j'y tiens.
After months of reconstruction, today it's finally back to normal.
We have been living like nomads in our home, moving furniture from room to room. So we're getting pretty good at this. Some comfort.
Yes.
The bed's been put back in its place, but there are no more wardrobes. From now on, they're sticking to the bare necessities.
On vit plus le jour maintenant. Notre futur, on le prépare pas comme on le prévoyait avant.
And so we've been happy to downsize quite a lot, because if we have to go through that again, we don't want everything up on the street again.
Like millions of Australians, Francois and Tim must get used to the new climate situation.
Whether we stay or we go, you know, you can go somewhere and then there's a bushfire. You can go somewhere and there's a landslide.
Around the corner, their neighbours never came back.
Ouais, c'est incroyable. C'est une jolie maison en plus. Hein, j'aimais bien la voir. La maison s'est soulevée, elle a tourné à 180 degrés et elle est partie au fond du jardin. Là, c'était les marches pour entrer, la porte d'entrée de la maison. Ça, c'était la porte d'à côté.
An entire house ripped out of the ground, carried away by the water and dropped 15 metres away at the back of the garden.
J'aurais jamais pensé que ma vie dépendrait du temps. Jamais. Et je comprends comment les Gaulois pensaient quand ils disaient qu'ils avaient peur que le ciel leur tombe sur la tête. Et maintenant, je ressens cette sensation.
In the city centre, many shops remain empty. Everywhere, people are preparing for the next one. The river that used to be the lifeblood of the city has become a threat. With climate change, a tidal wave is now expected at any time. The markers that measure the flood levels don't go high enough, and the measures put in place by the city are insufficient.
Donc ici, ce sont les portails qui ferment quand il y a une alerte pour les inondations. Et donc, quand on ferme ces portes, ça devient hermétique. Et l'eau peut monter jusqu'à 10,60 mètres par rapport au niveau de la rivière.
10 meters 60, too low for the latest floods. Yet, like Francois, some residents choose to stay on at all costs, forced to live with the disasters.
Hello, I would like to see Ellie. Is Ellie here?
This association is running at full speed 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And at the helm, Ellie Bird, municipal councillor. Ellie makes up for the lack of government support. As a result, she provides the necessities, provides support during the rebuilding of the houses, and even takes care of the administrative procedures.
And we're so tired. People are exhausted, beyond exhausted. So in the space of 5 years, we've been disaster declared probably about 7 times. So we just have to think that this is part of our reality now.
In this new reality, everything has changed. Worthwhile jobs are no longer in offices. Even money has less value. Now you can pay per service rendered. A new disaster economy. Laurie, osteopath, has his own way of paying his workers.
Matt did a hell of a lot of work helping me clean.
So he fixes your house and
Yeah.
you fix...
I do my best to try and fix him, yeah.
Indeed, the house is in the middle of a renovation. Together with the association,
Just guessing Laurie's upstairs.
Yeah, that's right.
Ellie accompanies them during the reconstruction.
About it's the submarine.
It is. Come into the submarine. Well, send me something.
A house specially designed to go underwater, because Laurie is under no illusion.
Well, no, it has to happen again. It's becoming a tropical area because of climate change. We've got tornadoes now. I never had tornadoes when I was a kid. There's so much more energy, and we're only just it's actually only just beginning.
So, to cope with the next disaster, Laurie has changed even the walls of his house.
I've taken out walls, I've made all the panels removable, roofing screws.
Just undrill it, take all the walls off. That way you don't have to wait 8 months until you can find someone, get the materials, rebuild. You just
get back to your home.
Is this our 2 rooms?
Up against fires, tornadoes and floods, Ellie and Laurie have no choice. It's too late.
Well, I have a sense of frustration that, you know, the writing has been on the wall for so long. We've known that this is coming, and governments have not put in place policies or responded to the clear warnings that have been sounded for so long.
Well, it's hard to stay permanently angry at a permanent scenario. I mean, you go crazy. And it doesn't matter whether you vote this way or that way, you're going to get coal. You know, that's what you get.
Don't cry often, but every now and then it comes out.
If Ellie cries when we talk about coal, it's because in Lismore, like almost everywhere in Australia, there are mines. The country is at the mercy of nature, but it's also to blame, because coal is responsible for half of the country's greenhouse gas emissions. That's what makes Australia a world leader in terms of pollution. Worse than oil or gas, coal also releases methane that is 80 times more warming than CO2. But coal is profitable. Mineral extraction in Australia, of which coal is a part, is worth $225 billion a year, 400 mining sites and 1.1 million jobs, or 1 in 10 jobs. So, on the television,
possibilities. It can create light and jobs, delivering $6 billion in wages for Australians. It produces steel and powers our homes, as well as our economy.
lobbyists can run campaigns like this.
Isn't it amazing what this little black rock can do?
The result? Australia's natural vastness, its wildlife and endless steppes are being destroyed by the hand of man. From the west to the east of the country, coal everywhere. This mine stretches for more than 70 kilometres. It's the second largest open-cast mine in the world. We're next to Biloela in rural northeastern Australia. In this small town, half the families live from coal. And many are true enthusiasts, as in this house. Adam Burling, father of 4, a miner and machine operator for 25 years, still happy to put on his work clothes.
It's a good job, I'm lucky. It's sort of like, I guess we're likening it to when we're kids playing in the sandpit with our toy trucks and that sort of thing. It's just like that on a much larger scale. We just play with big toys.
Adam loves his toys so much that he even took part in a commercial showing these huge machines built especially for mining.
The different variations, your backrest, your lumbar support, the sliding back and forth, you can just get it to exactly where you want.
In Australia, you can't get a journalist's camera into a mine. The industry is far too protected. So Adam shows us his playmate from the outside. A thermal power plant powered by the mine next door.
The whole power station itself just hums. Just, I don't know, like a big fan. I think it represents a lot of good things. It mightn't be beautiful, but it brings a lot of, I guess, prosperity and happiness. So, yeah.
He doesn't see nature being destroyed or CO2 emissions. However, he is in a good position to know that coal is bad for your health.
We're exposed to coal dust, which can cause pneumoconiosis in our lungs, and there's a fair bit of that in some retired miners at the moment, which is very sad. They struggle to breathe. We have to manage it, of course, with our dump trucks driving on the road. We have to make sure our roads are watered to keep the dust level down, and that's just not about us at the mine working, that's about the neighbours that are close.
Despite the dust and diseases, Adam doesn't seem to question the impact of his work. Indeed, when he meets his mates in the pub,
Apparently so. Hey, Kate, how are you, mate?
they only talk about the new enemy, the ecologists.
The coal industry, I hope it keeps going, but the way all the greens going and all the other dickheads hanging around it, it's not looking good.
And Canberra, the capital, is being blamed for creating climate disasters in a laboratory.
Without being conspiratorial, is there an agenda? Is everything being discussed? If you want to talk about climate change, why are you manipulating the weather? Why have you been doing it for decades?
While the coal industry is all-powerful in Australia, the miners believe that a green elite is out to get them.
I know people like Al Gore have become very rich on selling climate change or global warming as he first started out with that sort of thing. You know, if there was no money to be made in it and there was only truth in it, it would be a lot better.
And are you worried about climate change?
I don't think it exists.
You don't think it exists?
No, I think it's a scam.
I don't think such a big deal needs to be made out of it because the earth does change.
Why would they make that up?
To kill people. Yeah, either way, I think it's just all a money-making scheme. And
while the mine continues to run 24 hours a day. The next day, Saturday morning, Adam's family are all set for their outing.
We're going to Mara to visit the Miners' Memorial. I'll take them out and check out the actual site.
Not an amusement park, not a sports ground, but rather a very special museum, an ode to the glory of coal.
The headlamps like this is like a setup when the guys come to work. Yeah, righto, so this is the charging station. There you go. There you go, and that's the battery, so you can imagine even the helmet's heavy enough, like my helmet's not that heavy.
The museum is partly funded by the Anglo-American Mining Group, but also helped by several coal lobbies.
Yeah, it's just a free paper about the what's happening in the coal fields. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is Mara, the Mara Coal Festival happening. So there you go. So the mining industry contributed a record $43.2 billion in company tax and royalty paid in the financial year 2020 to 21.
The propaganda is perfectly fine-tuned, a generous and fun-loving industry. More remarkably, the coal religion also has its martyrs. Adam comes to visit the graves of former colleagues who died in work accidents, but still, no criticism.
This guy here, his dad was in the mine as well, because there was a risk of the mine blowing up, but they said that they won't go down there on the same shift because just in case something happened to one of them. And the poor young fella, he died. Coal mining family, so poor darlings.
just like us.
Yeah, that's right, mate. We're just lucky that we've never lost any of you, saying.
What the memorial doesn't say is that the last big explosion could have been avoided. A miner had said that there was too much methane gas, which is explosive, emanating from the coal.
The gas that killed these miners is still seeping out of the ground here. So if you come over here and you can actually smell the gas.
11 workers were buried that day. The bodies could not be recovered. BHP, the mining company involved at the time, has never been concerned. Despite this, Adam does not try to dissuade his children from working in the mines.
These guys are possibly the next generation of miners, or they're just the next generation, and you know, we'd just like to make sure that our lost miners are never forgotten.
Well, I'm only 8. I've still got many years to think of what job I want, and I'm happy to work at the mines as long as I don't work underground.
The advertising campaign seems to have been successful.
Yeah. No, I think he likes it. I used to take videos of the machinery and show him it when I come home from work.
You like to work in the coal industry? You'd like to? Yeah.
See the round bits? They put all teeth in there.
The highly profitable coal industry is protected in Australia, starting with the politicians. Like many parties in Australia, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison's party received millions of dollars from the coal lobby. So in the assembly, he's giving it his all.
Don't be afraid. Don't be scared.
The Treasurer knows the rule on crops.
It's coal, an energy competitive advantage that has delivered prosperity to Australian businesses and has ensured that Australian industry has been able to remain competitive on a global market.
After 9 years of Conservative rule and climate inaction, many Australians are waking up to the danger. A new government was elected in 2022 and made some more ambitious announcements on the environment. Not enough for many. The anti-coal mobilisation continues and the coal industry still seems protected. In New South Wales, the law has even changed. Activists face 2 years in prison and a €15,000 fine for organising even a non-violent demonstration. Newcastle, coastal city in the east of the country. The world's largest coal port. It exports 165 million tonnes a year. More and more people are getting organised here too.
But I'll be there in case anyone's looking stressed or occupying.
Rising Tides is a highly organised peace activist group. For today's action, they want to spotlight Whitehaven, Australia's largest coal producer.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Jeff is one of the old hands. He's been an activist for 15 years and is used to such methods.
It's always a little bit tense because you never know what reaction you're going to get from the business, from the police, from the public. This one, we have not advertised, we have not told anybody, we have not told the media until we actually are arriving at the office where we're going, because we don't want to be stopped before we get inside.
The group advocates peaceful direct action, but their determination is unwavering. For Oliver, there's a lot of anger.
They were telling us on the news, this is a historical flood. We only get this once every 100 years. And now, every 5 minutes, I'm hearing of the same kind of flood, if not worse, in the news. You're saying these are historical floods, but you know for a fact that what you're doing to the land is going to increase that happening.
What looks like a walk is actually a commando mission. Rising Tides is going to call the media into the office of Whitehaven's CEO, because the company keeps opening new coal mines. The event is perfectly orchestrated.
We've just got a document that we wanted to talk about.
The secretary immediately leaves and doesn't come back. The boss will of course refuse to receive them, but the first policeman arrives quickly. Just enough time for the activists to read their message in front of the cameras.
I'm here because I'm angry and terrified about climate change. Please confirm in writing to us by the 24th of November 2022 that you will cease violating our human right to a safe and livable future.
A formal notice.
BA is pretty much asking to cease and desist new coal mines and your mining by 2030 because they're planning to double it before then.
Stop increasing production. A modest request. In most OECD countries, this has been an obligation for a long time. For Jeff, the young people's speech has the air of a handover.
The government will not listen to anything else other than action. And this is the message they need to hear.
When the police arrive, the activists move into a meeting room.
Okay.
Not to hinder, obstruct, harass, or do anything like that, okay?
The violation of private property is immediately declared.
The owner, who is Whitehaven Coal, they can say you need to leave our property. And if we stay, then we might be trespassing. But we're going to leave.
Are the police still here?
Most of the occupants will leave the premises quietly.
I know you've heard it, but you don't have to say anything.
Tilda, you feeling good to stay?
But Oliver and his 4 comrades decide to stay.
Okay, cool.
We are journalists. I'm a French journalist.
It's not a discussion, it's a direction.
Okay, so
the
you want us to
direction
go
is
down?
You need to leave now,
Okay.
or you may be arrested for an offence.
Okay, all right.
Our cameras are evacuated. The arrests will be made out of sight in the office car park. The young people who decided to stay are still awaiting trial. Their action was calm and non-violent, but they still face a custodial sentence. Last December, Violet Corco, an activist who blocked traffic for 25 minutes, was sentenced to 15 months in prison, of which 8 months were suspended.
I have an issue with the government who sent him to stop this protest because we are protesting against terrible crimes. We are not committing terrible crimes. They are.
Jeff is angry because he feels hounded by the government. To prove it, he takes us to meet 21-year-old Zoe. This young activist had to deal with the brand new police unit dedicated to preventing demonstrations, an anti-environmentalist SWAT team.
Yeah,
They don't have a choice.
saying that they just saw a bunch of people with guns in the bush, and we later found out that they were police, that they'd been spying on us for the past few weeks. There was maybe 60 police officers that rolled in. They arrested, I think, 7 people, and they kept 2 of them in jail for 3 weeks. They charged them for conspiracy to block a road, so a thought crime, essentially. They charged them for thinking about participating in a protest where they would block a road, and they were held in jail for 3 weeks.
I'm embarrassed that my generation is doing this to the other generations. I think it's an appalling crime. Eventually, it will probably be the most serious crime in the history of human civilization.
As he gets older, Jeff no longer wants to be on the front line. He's embarked on a very different project. Narara, a village 1 hour outside Sydney, which he and his friends founded 5 years ago. The best energy performance in the country.
We're not just telling people what they should do, we're demonstrating how you do it by living that life here in the village.
113 adults and children follow simple rules. Adopt a responsible lifestyle and, above all, use a little imagination to build houses that do not pollute.
Yeah, so I'll show you.
Candy, for example, is the air conditioning expert.
This tube goes under the ground 1.5 meters deep. All deep.
So those tubes are about 20 metres long, and the idea is the temperature of the ground doesn't change when you're 1.5 metres deep.
17 to 21 degrees.
So that the temperature coming into the house is comfortable in winter, it's comfortable in summer. It doesn't go up and down with the outside temperature. That's it. All you need is a little fan and no other electricity.
Indeed, inside, Candy's air conditioning vents work perfectly. Everything is designed to circulate air and the walls are very well insulated.
So these are the tire walls underground. Then on top, above the ground, is straw bale.
Is it expensive to do?
No, it's made out of mud and dirt and tires. The tires cost me $1.
These houses seem to be made of bricks and mortar, and yet they're visionary. Next door to Candy's is Jeff's favourite house.
Every house is special. This one is very special. This one is a work of art.
A hobbit house, straight out of a film.
Oops, we can't waste water. We'll have to report it to the water department.
Cared for by Linda, a retired artist, who has a lot of work to do with her new home. No wood, no concrete. Here, materials are crucial. Linda opted for bamboo.
Well,
I love it. It's beautiful and it's so versatile and it's very strong. And I don't like cutting down trees.
With bamboo, it doesn't matter to cut them down? Or?
No, it grows again. Very quickly. In Asia, they've been using it for hundreds of years.
The village is attracting people. 100 new people are already planning to settle there. And yet here too, there's a threat.
There is forest all around the village, and the forest will burn because the climate is getting hotter and fires are getting very difficult to control.
So Jeff and his friends have it all planned out.
If there's an emergency like a fire, for the whole village we come here and we can count the people, make sure everybody's here.
Jeff is trained as a firefighter. Together with his neighbours, they are now able to fight a fire.
We have not yet had to fight a real fire here, but we know one day we will.
Because the situation can quickly get out of control. In Australia, rising temperatures are one of the main causes of increased fires. Late 2019 and early 2020, the country experienced the biggest fires in its history. 186,000 square kilometres burned, 600 deaths, about 3 billion animals affected. Again, former pro-coal Prime Minister Scott Morrison was conspicuous for his absence. He was on holiday in Hawaii, leaving firefighters at their wits' end.
You from the media, tell the Prime Minister to go and get from Nelligan.
During these fires, thousands of koalas died. Australia's totem animal is disappearing. 10,200,000 years ago, only 40,000 koalas remain today. To find the survivors, we have to go to the coast. On Magnetic Island, there's even a bay renamed Koala Bay. A paradise for the school children who live there. Here, when we leave the classroom, we take the boat. And there's one who always has something to say. Izzy is the leader of her group of friends.
He's so cute, isn't he? We have 11.8k.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nearly 12,000 followers on Instagram, while there are only 2,000 inhabitants on Magnetic Island.
It's just a little story about Eddie and how he's been going lately.
But the girl has a secret weapon.
Hi. Eddie looks pretty comfy.
She lives with the world's cutest animals. Her vet mum treats injured koalas who've been in accidents or rescued from fires.
Hi. So she's got burn injuries to her nose as well. And so she's also lost a couple nails from that, so she's not able to climb up trees and get the leaf that she needs.
Her claws literally melted with the heat of the fire. She must have walked through it. And when we got to find her, it was the saddest sight that I've ever seen. It just broke my heart.
With 3 babies in the house at the moment.
It's powdered milk, just like baby milk. Can you get the kettle?
Ali and Izzy have work to do. Every evening after school, it's bottle feeding time.
Probably do a bigger blanket for Violet because she's the messiest eater in the world.
And for more than 1 hour,
You right? Just have a little clean.
mother and daughter get their cuddle time.
Assessments this week.
In Australia, koalas are disappearing because of the heat. The leaves they eat are too dry and the forests are disappearing.
There's no point saving a koala if it's got no home to go back to. And just stopping polluting and plastics and all of it. We've got to look after the planet, otherwise there won't be a home for any of us, not just koalas, but all species.
But as long as there are koalas, young Izzy intends to take care of them. At 14 years old, she's already able to assist in the care of koalas.
Can you just pop your hand under a chin? That's it. Perfect.
One thing remains complicated for the young vet, saying goodbye. Because once the treatment is over, Izzy and Ali release the koalas into the wild.
Yeah, she was definitely a harder release because she was one that I raised.
Yeah. You did all the hard work with her, as some of them really do take a big piece of you and they go.
Yeah.
And then you worry when it rains whether they're going to be okay. And
Today, it's Elizabeth's turn to leave home. Rescued 5 months ago, she'd been violently attacked by a dog. But Elizabeth doesn't really want to let go of her tree. And this time...
Sorry. Sorry. That's it. Oh, easy. That is not how to catch a koala.
The veterinary student doesn't do it right. Her mum takes charge. There's no time to waste.
Okay, right, do you want to open the door of the car, please?
Elizabeth could become distressed if she stays in this cage too long. The journey takes 30 minutes. The aim is to keep the koalas as far away from the houses as possible. This forest is called the refuge. On the island, some inhabitants have bought this 23-hectare plot of land to let nature reassert itself and to protect endangered species.
This is koala paradise for sure. It's safe, so this area there are no dogs allowed. Lots of trees. Oh, yeah.
Moved, mother and daughter choose a tree for their koala. But once free, Elizabeth runs in the opposite direction.
There's no gratitude, it's just...
She looks happy up there.
So yeah, good job, well done.
Be able to eventually
Important work, but still paid for by private donations. Ali is unable to get funding from the Australian government.
We know we're not saving. We've, limited funding, limited resources, but the more media and the more sort of voice we get around the world, it seems people in other countries are more interested in what's going on than, some of the people here.
Saving dying animals and nature, this is indeed not the priority everywhere. For Brendan, our Wild West cowboy, for example, it's not Australian animals such as koalas or kangaroos that concern him.
Lots of cattle there. That's a water point, that's a tank and trough.
It's his cows, cattle that came from Europe 2 centuries ago and could not survive in the Australian desert without his help.
Big lizard on the road, watch out, lizard!
Brendan is smiling today. Soon they will no longer be alone on their ranch. A worker will come to give them a hand and share their pioneer lifestyle in the middle of this vast expanse. To house him, Brendan has acquired this mobile home from the nearest small town, 350 kilometres from his farm.
But it's definitely not a highway, it's a very rough track. The person who made it called it a highway as a bit of a joke.
Brendan will finally get a break, because fighting nature is exhausting.
These will be new rooms for some of our workers at muster time when we've got lots of people here. It's always very hard. Everything wants to kill you or break all the time. You just got to be patient and keep going. Yep, let's go have a beer. We've done well. It was a success.
Fortunately, every week this farm at the end of the world has a special guest from the city.
Every Friday he comes, so we cook breakfast for him every Friday morning.
Morning, Richard. He brings a beer, so it's very important.
Richard, the postman.
And 1,500 k's when I get home, and 15 stations. I've been doing it for 27 years. Wow.
Richard brings news from the outside world, far away from the desert, but with a slight delay.
Birthday card. Birthday card off my auntie. Oh, it was about a month ago. So a bit late, but it came. It's good.
This remote life is part of a long tradition. Here, the pioneer story is commemorated.
It'd be very hard riding over the rocks and through the sand here on a bike Must have had strong legs. Sometimes I wish I was, working back in them days to see how it was done. I think if they could see how we done it, they wouldn't believe it.
On the walls, the face of David Carnegie predominates. It was he who gave the place its name.
He was an explorer who first come out here before anyone was here. Walked around with camels trying to find gold. He was the first white person through here. So, yeah.
When Brendan speaks of the first Australians, he's not talking about the Aboriginals, who've been there for 40,000 years, and who the colonisers massacred. Of the 750,000 who were alive when they arrived, only 31,000 remained a century later. Today, the continent's original inhabitants represent 3% of the population and speak their own dialect, but their existence is still precarious and marginalised. However, in the face of the climate emergency, these ancestral people are acting as experts.
For a people that survived 2 ice ages, I think they were climate changes. I think as First Nations people of Australia, I reckon we must have something. We must have a little bit of knowledge there, you would think, wouldn't you?
Suzanne Thompson, 55, upholds the traditions of her tribe, the Iningay. We're in Turabura, a protected area, bought by an Aboriginal association.
We've got a kangaroo just up the road here.
And when Suzanne comes across kangaroos, it's not exactly the same as with Brendan and his rifle.
Hey, family. Wait, where are you going? What are you doing, Mama?
Instead, she stops and he listens to her.
And your baby's there too, not afraid. They often do that. And you just be gentle. Anything, I think if we're gentle with anything, it does that. The same as if we're gentle with the planet, I think it'll look after us too.
With her association, Suzanne bought 8,800 hectares of land to protect the land of her ancestors. She even brought in a dozen archaeologists who got the site protected. These prints in the rock, these markings, and these inscriptions over 180 metres long date back at least 5 millennia.
I can touch and feel the spiritual connection of my ancestor that left a mark.
But what is important for Suzanne is to pass on the history that her ancestors have left her.
This was the university teaching wall. This was the classroom.
On the walls, depictions of the Milky Way, for example. For 17,000 years, Aboriginal art has been delivering messages in code. The works are odes to nature that one must know how to decipher. But there are also practical teachings, such as ancient contraceptive methods.
There's a rule around that one. Boys have to learn it. Us girls have to know it. If you don't want to have a baby, then morning time, you be careful of your man, because that's when he's most excited. That's the most productive time is the morning. So that's part of our story, what we're taught.
In Suzanne's Aboriginal association, anger is rising over the destruction of nature and a permanently pumped water table.
It took at least 1 million to 2 million years for that water to appear down there. So we keep extracting. To waste it in such a way is just ludicrous. I know I don't want to be part of the human race that's actually ended it all.
Australia's First Nation peoples have an intimate knowledge of nature.
Crush this one up, crush it really up hard, and smell this one. Isn't it amazing? It's like chocolate.
They blame the British colonisers for not seeing what the land naturally has to offer. When they arrived, the British imported food, animals, and wanted to force an entire people to be like them, at the cost of a destroyed ecosystem. This land so far from home is now hanging on worse. Coal ports are allowed to dump hundreds of thousands of tons of dredged material right next to one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. The coral reef, the rainforest of the oceans, except that corals are not plants, but small living creatures from the jellyfish family. This barrier is in fact the largest living structure on the planet, supporting 1/4 of the world's fish and 500 million people. All studies show that the coral reef will disappear. In 25 years, half of the corals have already died because the water is too warm. The colours are fading. This is called bleaching. Caitlin is a marine biologist and tour guide. Every day, she sees what she loves most in the world slowly dying.
You know, it's our home, and it's just a really beautiful place for us to be, and I really don't want to lose the reef because it's very iconically Australian.
Caitlin works on Heron Island, a small island in the northeast of the country, 80 kilometres from the coast.
There are definitely some reefs that are getting worse and worse as the years go on. And the last time that they released that report, they downgraded the reef from poor to very poor. So they're saying that going forward in the future, if we don't make the changes that we need to make, the reef is really badly at risk.
Faced with this climate emergency, Caitlin works with a research station, an operation base where scientists are mobilising for a war that seems hard to win.
I'll do actually tonight the talk at 6.
Chris is one of the station's most senior staff, having worked here regularly for 25 years, accompanying young researchers such as Devin Rowell, who places tags on corals before putting them back in the water.
And then the thought is that different groups that are trying to do restoration can use species that are more likely to survive hot temperatures in the future with climate change and use those species to help restore reefs.
It's the same as with plants that you put in your garden. You won't put a tropical plant in Paris in the garden.
Chris Rovsemer has been mapping all the world's coral reefs for 3 years.
It's a photo. That's how the reef looks like at that specific point. So
High-definition images, which can then be processed and studied.
This one's Mitch's transit.
The reason why we did that is because anybody who has a camera and has a GPS and a float can do it. So more people can collect data. That's the whole trick. More people need to be aware of their environment.
And to find a workforce.
So yeah, so I expect you will go out this afternoon or something to the reef. Oh, now?
Chris also teaches students.
Get a bit wet. They look for a coral, and they look for the darkest part. They write it down here. And then it's a branching coral. And anybody can do it.
So you need actually like many citizens
an army.
An army to survey dying corals. An absolute emergency, because scientists fear that the entire food chain will be disrupted.
So on the moment it dies, it's going to look like this. It will be just rock. The fish can't hide, there's no food. So it's really important to keep a coral reef in state.
Will it be a problem for human beings?
Yeah, because human beings need food.
The world's largest coal exporter is therefore also the guardian of life in all the world's oceans.
Very nice. I hope it also. That's why I do this. It's so important.
Experts sent to Australia by UNESCO believe that the site is indeed in danger. The scientists even point to Australia's political responsibility. According to them, to do its fair share, the country should reduce its emissions by 75% by 2030.